Hello, I'm James, and tonight's game is Mask of the Rose. Last time, we managed to complete the game, finding the correct criminal. Tonight, we're going to do another run. Your first foray into Mask of the Rose is unlikely to end as happily as you might hope. Never mind. Savor your successes, delight in your disasters. Try again, wiser in the ways of the Neath. The city is thick with secrets, but they can't hide from you. In February 1862, with no warning at all, London fell through the surface of the earth. This was meant to be a year of progress and industry. The Great Exposition, trams, a new sewer system. Instead, we find ourselves dwelling in a cave. It's October now. The fires have been put out. The bodies have been buried. But the future remains unimaginable. The time before, impossibly distant. Who were you? A housebreaker's child. My father was a housebreaker. His father was a highwayman. We came down in the world, no longer doing our crimes on horseback. And then my father was arrested. This situation furnishes some connections, not always friendly, on both sides of the law. Down here, your name is whatever you say it is. Often there's no one left to remember who you used to be. Some people hold tight to the names they carried before. Some reinvent themselves completely. I am Citizen Pandita. That's me, Pandita to my friends, citizen to strangers. That's how I was addressed even before London fell. In the Neath, a true ally means everything. When I find people to be close to, I am open to whatever comes my way. I'll be looking for both romantic feelings and a physical connection. Friendship and matchmaking are possible too, of course. Right now, I'm meant to be helping with the census, finding out who still lives in my neighborhood. The first census results are due tomorrow. If I turn them in, I get paid. The first money to come my way in nearly 2 months. If I don't, I'm going to disappoint Greece badly. She knew I was in trouble, so she went out of her way to find me work with her own employers. She even gave me a badge to show my affiliation. Badge of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. The front of the badge looks almost like a constable's badge, with the lion and unicorn blazoned on it. The back of the badge has some kind of symbol I don't recognize, hot to the touch. I keep it with the clothes I have from before the fall, and a few odd items I found more recently. We also have a fake but vibrant corsage. The most obvious thing about this flower is that it is extremely fake. Perfect for going out on the town, boasting and gallivanting. Let's wear the badge. For torso, we can go coatless. What I'm already wearing will do. Or wear a prisoner's jacket. My father's prison jacket. It fits among the criminal fraternity and encourages a confrontational attitude. A constable will take one look at the jacket and think of escape from prison. The badge suggests I have more power than one would expect. From here, you may explore the city, recall the past, change your outfit, and more as the story unfolds. The game will save each time you return here, indicated by this notification. Adjust your outfit? No. Let's head outside. And host a visitor before bed. Ah, I thought you were up here. She glances at the badge you're wearing. I suppose I should be glad you're thinking about the census, even if you didn't get around to leaving the house. I react to that the way I react to many things these days. I'm not sure what I'll meet out there. Not everything outside is human. Remember, don't let a few odd things in the portraits frighten you. Come tomorrow evening, we'll need to have at least a few census forms filled out. Well, I'm going to be one explaining it in some pages. And if that happens, I'm not going to help you with your employment prospects again. Reese works for the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. Seems to agree with her. She wears trousers to work and comes home at all hours. It's very important to her and taken seriously by these employers. The next thing I do is characteristic too. You're so good at your work that I think your employers must see it, though they are unusual. Reese's employers are unusual. She says she's never seen their faces. But if you ever do need to evade them, we can conceal you in the basement. Mr. Page is angry. It doesn't bear thinking about. What do you think of the questions? They're written in the most peculiar spiked handwriting. And there are punctures in the paper, in random spots. Why does this page look like this? Do your employers know how to use a pen? I've not seen the writing. I've only seen the ink on my sleeves afterwards. And do they have claws? Whatever their methods, they are trying to restore London, defeat everyone, and create some kind of order. Yeah, try the questions on me. They've just knocked on the door, and I've come to answer it. Yes, what do you want? Good evening. On behalf of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting, I have a few questions. Oh, how lovely. I'm so grateful these ministries are looking after us. I don't think that's what someone would say. More likely the desire just shut the door in my face. Well, starting with an easy one. Administering is not with me. Even you would ask for evidence that I wasn't a housebreaker. Let's say I recognize the official stamp on your official document. Ask me the first question on the list. How many people live in this establishmentation? Is that a word? Establishmentation? My superiors are enthusiastic embellishers of language. If you'd like, you can translate into questions that are more likely to be understood. Right, how many people live in this establishment? 4. The landlady, Mrs. Dorothea Chapman, a young man named Archibald Reed, myself, and a fourth character, very respectable. A reduced number are used to the others. I know, but there's no point in... We don't know what happened to them. It's possible, I tell myself it's possible that there was sadness left behind in the surface. Maybe there's a second London there, going on about its business, never noticing that some of us vanished. Sometimes I'm in the mood to keep chatting, and sometimes I want to get to the point. Is anyone in this establishment amorphicated or impassionated? What does this even mean? They're asking if anyone here is in love. Just ask that. Is anyone here in love? No. If you wanted to discuss the romantic inclinations of Greece, there are easier ways. You didn't have to ask me to survey our neighbors on the topic. No? At this moment, of course, Archie has to turn up. Archie is a medical student. He hadn't finished his training before the fall. He has plenty of work now. Right after the fall, he has broken bones and cuts. Lately, there are fewer wounds and more diseases. Ah, I wondered where you were. Archie, is something wrong downstairs? Has there been a new disaster? Not the kind you're thinking of. I wanted this morning to visit a patient, but what did I find pasted up on the wall? He holds up a broadsheet. There's a new decree from the Ministry of Cartography and Chirography that all maps and atlases are to be surrendered or put on the fire. You all folk making these rules, Greece. No need to be upset just yet. I'm sure Greece will explain. Thank you, I think. This must be a difficult position for her. But she'll doubtless face more like it if she goes on serving the ministry. Will you be asking your friend Miss Pages about these maps? One must respect the law. None of us knows what is safe down here in the Neath. Most likely there are reasons you can't imagine. Perdita, Please do collect at least a few census forms by tomorrow, from whatever Londoners you're able to find. At the end of the day, I'll find you, and we can take them to Mr. Page's together. New goal. Deliver a filled census form to Pages. She gives me a long look before she goes. Well, next time I'll not come in without knocking. Might be able to cough a few times so that you can separate. She's got too good a look at my life, should have me clapped in irons. There might not be any feeling on your side, but she doesn't look at me that way, or Horatia. She might have looked being fierce, if she was to choose someone and then her heart was to be broken. Might be disappointment, or it might be meeting with a thing she couldn't plan. She'd be sadder than an angry cat. Greece has been gathering census pages for the ministry. Aye, Chris told me it was some such thing. I meant to fill a page with answers to questions about you. What questions would those be then? Do you have your heart set on anyone? Down here, there's no one. What about before February? There was a last back home, what did me mother do but promise me to her? There must be a great deal of trust and affection in your family if you're able to rely on each other so much. Well, there's no many people where I come from, so it serves not to make any enemies of any of them. The question is of recollections he's not considered for a time. But said, not much of her sense. She has very even teeth. My mother said, overlapping teeth in a woman mean defiance, and gaps mean a light skirt. I see. Oh, don't look so stiff. Conversation turns to medicine, and Archie hoped for it. In childhood, it seems, he was fascinated with Frankenstein, and with the stories of the resurrection men in Edinburgh, pulling bodies out of graves. These elements mingled into curious fantasies of the scientific inventions that he would one day achieve. Adulthood and a bit of experience in the world may have tempered his expectations, but he still turns excited at what possibilities outside our current imaginings. It would be, he says, very useful in our present circumstance if people could be taught to digest rocks, for instance, or to derive more nutrition from moisture in the air. But much less to you in Scotland, I didn't ever come to London. The thought hits me, but I don't show it. Okay, so, our goals for tomorrow. Conduct more census interviews. Tomorrow evening, Reese will take me to see Mr. Pages. My melancholy but warm self is Citizen Pandita, a locksmith, who lives in Chapman's boarding house, Thrall Street, and is interested in passionate romance. My views on life in the Neath are still forming. Day 124, pre-fall, moved into Chapman's. Day 92, fall summer, swore never to consume another bite of mushroom. Day 94, fall summer, broke on antifungal fast because too hungry. Day 220, confessions. Asked Grease to help me find work. Archibald Reed, occupation unknown. Boards with Horatia. His mom has a nice girl for him back home. Companion and informant. We survived the fall together. That's sort of a bond. Day -1, pre-fall. I've known Archie since shortly before the fall. Day 259, Confessions. Archie joked about my feelings for Greece. I finished taking the census with Archie and gave up any interest in him. Griselda Smith, clerk at the ministry. Boards with Horatia. Romantic interests unknown. Day -15, pre-fall. Grease moved into Chapman's a short while before the fall. She wore gowns back then. Day 259, Confessions. Grease came to ask me about my progress on the census. I've made no progress. Margit Singh, constable. One to ask whenever I get lost, or think I might be lost. Day 0, mid-apocalypse. I first remember Harjeet from the night of the fall when he was patrolling the neighborhood. Horatia Chapman, landlady. I still owe her back rent. Keeps Chapman's adult lodgers, romantic interests and occupation unknown. Day -124, pre-fall. I moved into Horatia's. She gave me a good room and a stern speech about conduct in her house. Day 0, mid-apocalypse. We lived through the night of the fall in Horatia's basement. She's looked after all her lodgers since. Day 260. 13 days remain in Confessions. The newspapers aren't what they used to be, but someone is still printing broadsheets these days. Headlines today read: Masters of the Bazaar prohibit burning of more than 6 candles at once. Candle shortage ongoing. 6 candles, which of course is 1 less than 7, which is the number. Relive the fall of London. This will not cause time to pass. I'm always reliving London's last night on the surface. I try to put it out of my head, but it's still there. The dimming of the sun at 3 in the afternoon. The sky turning the color of rust. The horrible bang of the cloud of dust from the direction of Westminster. The tolling of the bells. The horseman who rode down the street, liveried in the garb of the palace, shouting, "In Her Majesty's name, go indoors!" And then the sky was full of bats, more bats than I thought could exist in the world, wheeling, shrieking, defecating. People went indoors then if they'd ignored the criers. Those that had no house crowded into the churches and under the bridges. Even now I don't understand why Parliament collapsed. The building that was Parliament is now drowned in the Thames. No one alive can give a good account of it. I reckon it's a tornado. I heard of something similar in the Welsh Hills back to 1760. Nay light in the sky and noise like a thunderclap. That's no tornado, love. It's a plague of Egypt. I've seen tornadoes. They come, and then they move right on again. And they aren't bats. They say the tornado scattered livestock every which way. Sheep on rooftops and that. Then the ground shook again. I believe we can blame Mr. Basilgate's excavations. Digging out under London, causing a seismic disturbance. What do you find in there but a cave of 3 million bats? Is that what you reckon? There are stranger things beneath London. That was the beginning of it, but we were down there for hours and hours. The sky darkened, and it didn't return to normal. Once, around midnight, Grease went upstairs and opened the door to the street, but she came right back down again. She said the cobbles were galloping about. It wasn't safe to walk outside. After that first bit, the memories collide and get confused. I have trouble keeping track of which came first and which came later, and whether I'm imagining something. Spent a lot of days like this, thinking back, trying to piece together the bits of the puzzle. As if I could realize something that would make sense of it all. Venture out into London. Time will pass as you explore the city. Boarding house, we can take the census with Horatia or Grease. Down in Tall Street, we can take the census with Harjeet. It's worth it to be mindful of how others will perceive me. What will I say? What I can and cannot say is constrained by my clothes. This was true before the fall, but it's even truer now. Names, identities, and relationships have all become so unsteady and unreliable. Harjeet admires duty, but does not always care for the ministry. It's hard to say what impression the badge makes on him. The streets outside Mrs. Chapman's are not easy. Thanks to the criminal confraternity, I do know one or two questionably reputable places around town. Ferret's shop. Ferret is the local menace eradicator, and there's significant need for their services lately. Whenever I need to find more of them, it's Harjeet who helps me. I have something for you, if you want it. He produces a nearly new Admiral's hat, in perfectly good condition. I found it near the docks. No sign of the owner, and I can't wrap myself. I thought someone at Mrs. Chapman's might get some use out of it. Perhaps Lady Griselda. Admiral's hat. Trimmed with gold braid, makes the person look like a respectable representative of the Navy. Wearing it gives me a commanding, slightly curmudgeonly presence. Clothes make an impression on other people when I wear them. They make an impression on me, too. Sometimes I'm inspired to say things I wouldn't otherwise. I have the feeling this particular hat would make me a bit rough and commanding. Very good of you. You could have got a penny or two for it by sending it on to a second-hand clothes merchant. Harjeet does not comment on this. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I see. London was determined to collect everyone's name even before the fall. Would your answers be the same now as they were then? Not exactly. What do you wish to know? The census asks me to report on your household, whether you live alone or with others, that sort of thing. At one time, I shared my lodgings. That was prior to the fall, but my former companion is missing. What should I put down about the romantic attachments, for the census, that is? This is not a matter I would explain to most people. You and I have known one another for some time, however. I think you would hear me out kindly, but if you would rather not carry my secrets... At the moment, what you tell me, you tell the Ministry. So perhaps it is better that I not know. unless you would equally confide in Mr. Pages. An honourable answer. It's best not to promise what you can't be sure of giving. For the sake of the mystery, Flynn declined to say. For a moment, no one speaks. Do you know what the synagogue is? I walked out the way to the underground synagogue. There are a lot of people in that area today. So we walk together, and every few moments Harjeet stops to point out a landmark, or draw my attention to the places where the air smells different, where the sound of church bells can be heard. Underground synagogue, an old synagogue, and one that has weathered the fall very well. They peer over my badge. Not familiar with that ministry. It's new. We are on our way to services, so this is not a suitable time for ministry business. But here, Rachel, or you can step a bit to the side if you want, wherever you're comfortable. I'll speak with this person. It won't take long. Shouldn't, anyway. A pleasure to know you, I'm sure. I go by Pandita. David and Rachel Landau. Rachel is my sister. What can we do for you? The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I see. I'll answer your questions, citizen, if you answer mine. Call it character research. Are you having peculiar dreams down here? My housemate is a doctor. Well, almost a doctor. He's being called to see people with strange dreams constantly. Does he report them back to you? Or better yet, does he keep a ledger? He only gives the outlines. He doesn't give away the secrets of his patients. Commendable. Inconvenient. Go ahead with your questions, citizen. What did you mean when you said you had a question about character research? I write novels. They are published one chapter at a time in a Lily of London magazine. I was in the midst of one when the fall happened. My publisher insisted that I continue the story despite all. Rachel, are you certain that you want to show so much? Does it matter? Surely those precautions are behind us. What are you writing about? If you take the Lily of London, citizen, you may have the pleasure of reading my next chapter yourself. Though I confess that a standstill is what it will contain. My heroine is meant to set off for Paris, and there to be reunited with her lost beloved. But as the fall has transpired in fiction as well as in fact, I must resign myself that the courtship is ruined. Who else lives in your household? Our home contains myself, my brother, and our housekeeper. It isn't a grand establishment. We had another housekeeper for many years, but she passed away. And Phoebe, our servant, had lost her place with a neighbor of ours. Do you have any romantic commitments now? He doesn't have any commitments. In fact, I would go so far as to say he is utterly without prospects. He stays home and reads. I haven't been now. warns me of spinsterhood, but he's headed very much in that direction himself. It isn't the same thing at all. I agree, is it? I have my work to support myself. But what's become of your funds since the fall? You have to marry if you don't mean to end your days a pauper, brother. I'll rely on you to support me in my failing years, sister. Are you married? In love? Oh, not recently. I was in love once, or so I imagined. Charlotte Carringham. She and David had an understanding. She converted, in any case. Becoming Christian suited her social aspirations. Rachel. Yes, yes. I take leave to dislike your unworthy suitors as heartily as you dislike mine. Milton is a yellow-eyed, flush-dressed, hot-handed creature, at least 2 decades too old for my sister. Rumors of devils are frequent in the city. Perhaps Milton is one of them. I hardly think he and Charlotte are comparable. For the census, what is your romantic status? Married, betrothed? Are you in love? No, at least that isn't what I'd call it. Just as well, too. In the times before, we would never have darkened the door of such a person. Before you cast me as the intolerant brother, citizen, you should know what we're speaking of. Milton smokes rose-scented cigars. Oh dear, the rules of polite society have broken somewhat in the fall, haven't they? Nothing of the sort. He's a devil. Or rather, he belongs to the group using that name. Milton is an artistic inspiration. If you are not a writer yourself, citizen, you cannot guess how much the fall has disrupted our sort of work. Characters have certain tastes, certain preferences, certain prejudices. All I need to do is imagine them in new circumstances and their reactions from themselves. But now we've all been at least a bit cracked by the fall. How does anyone behave? Who can say? You've always said you wrote from observation. You can still observe. Since the fall, there's no pattern in what I see. It's only home that makes sense to me, and I cannot make my whole novel about a brother and sister lighting candles at Shabbat. Why not? I imagine you could make that as fascinating as anything else. My publisher wouldn't tolerate it. The City of London wouldn't print it. The rest of the world must come to it somehow. Milton helps me sort the rest of the world. He can make sense of anything, even a victimist running down the street in her peignoir. It's easy to understand a misbehaving victimist. Everything else is a stranger. Let me say, citizen, Milton quotes poetry instead of making conversation. He helps me. For the census, who is your housekeeper? She's called Phoebe. She's been with us for years. She's an Irishwoman, Catholic in a quiet way, with no relatives in London. My mother offered her a position as a kindness when she was destitute. And her surname? Phoebe Riley. Oh yes, of course, that's it. Pray don't tell her I'd briefly forgotten. How mortifying. It would make no difference. She is not under any illusion that you are interested in her family. I suppose you, of course, have learned her life story. Her father was a head scholar, passing from village to village, secretly teaching students things the English had forbidden. Forbidden? What sort of thing? Greek, Latin, a bit of Irish history. At least that's how I reconstructed from Phoebe's description. Her father travelled, and her mother didn't have much money. But he did leave her the name as an illusion. I'm surprised she told you so much. She doesn't talk to me about that part of her life. Perhaps she feared it would appear in novelized form. With the witty listener, David talked about the life he had before the fall and post-out began. There was a steady business, which presented him with challenges in which his caution and tendency to doubt were an asset. In his stories, his partners and relatives are sometimes swindled or tricked, but David himself rarely falls prey to that kind of misadventure. His arrangements appear to have been quietly successful. I have the impression that his friends thought highly of his good sense, or expected thus to. Everything is always running too slowly, and yet every day is the same. You've seduced one or two ideas, but which is certainly owe you something. She produces a card and hands it to me, provides her address and guidance to reach it. The Wendo's townhouse. A well-appointed townhouse, suffused with a homely glow from its tall windows. Home of the Wendo siblings. Goodbye, then. My face betrays my feelings. I just have time for one more errand today before supper. This won't be the place for finery, not unless I want vermin spattered. Let's see here. The constable will take one look at the jacket and think of his gift from prison. The hat and badge, however, say I have power despite all. Yes, let's lose the hat. Going bareheaded is a bit chilly in this cave. The sign outside says the shop belongs to one Ferret. This presumably is them. Ferret doesn't look straight at my badge, but it's been noticed all the same. Everything's all right and tight here. Regular inspections and all that. We pay the constables that do. Indeed. Bad, but you can see that on the shop window. At times before, I wouldn't have been so bold to speak to a stranger. Now here seems like any human companionship is welcome. Pleasure to meet you. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. Ferret looks faintly mutinous. Please tell me you don't have a surname. Ferret Wilson or Ferret Clark would be a terrible disappointment. That's the only name I go by, and no one saw fit to tell me if it was a forename or a surname. I've come down to live in a noble house, no. Got to stay with my great-grandson and his wife, Lord and Lady Saltweasel. That form, do you have to put on it whether a person is a gentleman or not? It doesn't ask anything about whether the person is male or female. That's good. Can't say I've ever liked answering that one. People are always trying to fit one into uncomfortable boxes. You don't fit in either, eh? These questions were written by pedantic sorts of the ministry. Don't worry too much about your answers. Can't imagine anyone consents to share this household. Ah, what's it to him? For all you know, I might keep a dormitory full of vermin-killing apprentices. Like my master did with me for enough years. Took me out of the chimney-sweeping trade and put me at rats instead. I somehow don't fancy there's a spousal ferret about anywhere, is there? Strange thing, but I don't fancy sharing those particulars with your masters. It's my shy and delicate nature. Might put me to the blush if those things was to become known. I make the note. Refuse to answer. Boy, wasn't expecting you till this evening. Seeing the customers, as you can see. Hello, citizen. I already know the customer. I'm just by with a warning about the pub at the corner. One usually infested, is it? If the publican hires you to clear the place, bring help. And fire. Give Harjeet a speaking smile. Harjeet is resentfully silent. That'll be spiders. That was unexpected. People are more than one thing since the fall. Before the fall, too, come to that. There's just been a bit of three-card Monty on who does what since. Back to business, though, eh? What else can I do for you? Is business good, then? I've been at rat catching and milk killing for many years now, but I've never seen a business like this. There's demand for the eradicating of the beasties and demand for their bodies when you've done them. So the wages have never been so good, but I don't get so much competition as you might expect. That stands to reason, considering what one finds in a rat nest these days. If you ask me, in a year or two, we'll need more than a terrier to catch rats with. Might need firearms. What's different about the rats now? Hungrier, aren't they? They're used to a city's worth of scraps. Suddenly, London scraps aren't what they're having. They'll come up bold as day and take a loaf off a man's plate if you aren't careful. And you hear stories, don't you, about rats getting so eager they'll gnaw on an infant in its crib. Right you are. I believe you. You can take my word for it. Truth to tell, I haven't been called on to deal with any chewed-on infants that wasn't already deceased. Unsavory subject. Let's see your pockets before you go, then. Not nicked anything you shouldn't have done. Very well, can't be too careful in these parts. You know what? Why not? Let's go the ferret route. I look at ferret with unmistakable longing. Horatio will be setting out the food now. Greece is waiting for me. Whatever census forms you have ready, it is time to take them to Mr. Page's. Now I'm famished. Mr. Page's has been expecting these all day. He is eager to see what you've made of the collection. Once I've shown you how to reach the ministry, you can come back on your own and turn in others. Greece has me gather my papers. With luck, Mr. Pages will decide to keep you on. That she leads me outside and down a side street that is no longer named. The way runs narrow between the backs of buildings. They have no doors on the ground floor, only windows on the first, the second, and the third, from which to supervise and throw out slops. How could an angry mob get at the bazaar? By the time they'd filed through, they'd have ditched their pitchforks. Their torches would be swallowed by the dank. Finally, we find ourselves standing as shadow, under its walls. Before us is a low door that once, I think, belonged to a solicitor's office. Grease takes out a key. It's made of something other than metal, and unlocks that door. Mind the pile of papers. I've already sorted them 3 times. Mr. Pages is very particular about the ordering of documents. Now, where has he gone? Usually he's here by this time of day. Ah, there you are, sir. We were just coming to bring you the census documents. A first installment of many, I'm sure. There is a tone in her voice, somewhere between fondness and a nanny guiding an untutored child. I watch her curiously. She doesn't meet my eye. Does she have feelings towards it? Affection? Regard for a very strange and demanding pet? Or is it something more heartfelt? Mr. Pages, may I present Pandita? Pandita, this is Mr. Pages. The whole Ministry of Accounting and Recounting is under Mr. Pages' direction. Thank you very much for offering me employment. The opportunities in London aren't what they used to be. Grease assures us that they were provocated. It is highly gratifying that the populace of London appreciates their move. Improvicated? I wouldn't exactly say that. I said that I preferred the Ministry's way of doing things. Before the fall, the city was not inclined to place a gentlewoman in a position of responsibility. No matter how well suited she might be to that work. What have you brought us? Ah, most interrogant. Gives me a shiny penny for my trouble. It's newly minted and is a portrait on the back of someone who is certainly not the Queen. The face on the back of the coin stares at me until the hair prickles on my neck. Reminds me of a debt owed, and I don't want to remember. My breath hitches and slows and resumes. We did not expect much from Archie. Undercon Grease having already revelated that he's a lightless character. Personally, I'd say more likely to be stained, but... What else is there? Pages offers me 2 pennies from a jar, bringing my stash to 3. There are other coins in there, and a few things that aren't even coins. Buttons, pearls probably false. A horse head carved from ivory or bone. The quality of your information impresses us this time. It looks through the sheets of the form in its usual way. Doesn't find much to interest it in the account of Rachel's romantic life. It is much more intrigued by her employment. She invents love stories from nothing. There are any number of novels printed every year in London. The price of paper was recently reduced. Those stories we will acquire. If they are suitable, then we will also acquire the authoress. We shall see. Excellent. Do you have anything more? Mr. Pages takes the census page eagerly and spends some time scanning it. There is something that it is looking for, something it keeps looking for, that it cannot find. It seems he cares for his sister more than any other. Nonetheless, his affections are prolific. There's some promise in that. Do you have anything more? Mr. Pages pays. Then it puts the census page in a stack of others, much like it. Weighs the stack down with a paperweight. If I look too hard at the paperweight, my eyes sting. There is some unrelated matter here. It will be good to discover. Do you have anything more? Trick is not to look at the back of the penny at all. Pages continues turning the pages over, going back and forth between them for a long time. Inefficacious way of capturing menaces. We have better ways. The ministry will make them known. The business of the census is done for now. Perhaps a verdict question. Why aren't we allowed to have maps and atlases anymore? We need them more than ever. London isn't arranged where it used to be. I believe the ministry intends to resurvey the territory. In the meantime, oh wait, that was Greece. I believe the ministry intends to resurvey the territory. In the meantime, it wouldn't do, you know, to have people using fallacious maps. The territory of the Neath is undoubtedly falsificated towards lying still. I beg your pardon? I suppose it must be a reference to the sensitivity. Perhaps there's a concern that further attempts will disturb the arrangement of London streets. And, now I think on it, in those circumstances, the existence of inaccurate maps might cause alarm. Perhaps better not to greet the population in expectation of consistent layout. That is enough of my official duties for the moment. Grease accompanies me out again when it is time to go. She makes a couple of remarks about how useful this will be, but she stops short of asking whether I'm in debt to Horatio. I haven't forgotten, though. Pay Horatio half my back rent. As we make our way back to Horatia's, Grease asks me what I think of Mr. Pages. She tries to make it sound like an idly curious question. I say, how it's a good thing the ministry has someone like her to advise them. That pleases her. She had an uncle who was in Parliament before the fall, and she always thought she could do at least as well as he did, given the chance. So now, at least, she has scope for her ideas of government, at least in a small way. To take care of this. The rest of the way home, she spends telling anecdotes about her uncle's political career, and a number of highly placed individuals in the old government. Before we go back inside the house, she reminds me. We have many more people in the neighborhood to survey for the census. You know how it's done now, so you can collect them and take them to Mr. Page's yourself. I have other duties. I may not always be there, but Page's is, well, I'm certain you won't be hard if you visit the ministry on your own. I get the impression that you have an affection for Mr. Page's. Mr. Page's is also. Sometimes he can be protective. Other times I think he would let me walk into the sea if I chose. Not because he dislikes me, but because he has no fear for me. He trusts me to judge for myself. Undergone priest, he calls me, but I'm not sure to call it love. If it should say anything about his feelings, please tell me. David Landau, occupation, unknown. Lives with Rachel and Phoebe, loved Charlotte before she became Lady Caringham. I've earned David's admiration now and again. Day 260. I've earned David's admiration now and again. Day 260. Confessions. I introduced myself to David Landau, a gentleman I met at the synagogue. I persuaded David to obey me on behalf of the ministry. I finished taking the census with David. Ferret, skeptical census killer. Occupation, unknown, lives above shop. They don't seem keen on marrying. I want to win their heart, but they once implied there's not enough trust between us. Day 260. Confessions. I encountered a rat catcher named Ferret. Ferret obviously took against my ministry badge. I tried to make Ferret respect me in the name of the ministry, but I don't think it worked. I finished taking the census with Ferret. I realize I have feelings for Ferret. I rather suspect Ferret knows my feelings too. Griselda Smith, companion and informant. No new information. Harjeet Singh, fan. I earned Harjeet's admiration now and again. Constable, lives alone, he isn't seeing anyone. Day 260. Confessions. Harjeet presented me with a used admiral hat that he had found by the docks. I persuaded Harjeet to obey me on behalf of the ministry. Harjeet was about to tell me something personal, but I stopped him. Harjeet admired my honesty. I finished taking the census with Harjeet. Day 260. Confessions. Harjeet dropped by Ferret's shop to offer a warning about dangers in the neighborhood. Nothing new with Horatio. Mr. Page's, master of the bazaar. Household unknown. Romantic interests unknown. Detractor. I don't have anything in mind for us. 2260, Confessions. I made the acquaintance of Mr. Pages. It is very tall. Phoebe Riley, housekeeper, lives in. Romantic interests unknown. Stranger, we know each other only by repute. Rachel Landau, writer, and census filler. Lives with David, brother, and Phoebe, housekeeper. Might or might not be infatuated with the devil. I have extracted what Mr. Pages wanted to know, more or less. Issue 60, Confessions. I met Rachel Landau, David's sister. I persuaded Rachel to obey me on behalf of the ministry. I finished taking the census with Rachel. Day 261. 12 days remain in Confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. Archie bought one, and the headlines read, Severe destruction renders southwest of London impassable. Reports of foreign population. It would be a forgotten quarter. Actually, I think we got that one last night. So, maybe they're on a randomization or something. I remember the days of the fall in fragments. There are a few moments that I'm always drawn back to. Memories that stand for everything else that happened. There are things I sometimes remember from that night that cannot have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. Constable Harjeet checked on us that night. That day, when the sky had gone red, even though it wasn't yet time for sunset, Harjeet knocked on the servant's door. He was carrying a lantern. All well in this house. Any wounded? Any missing? Any dead? Anyone walking with you that didn't live here yesterday? Reese answered her. Wait, is that right? What if my Reese? She's used to servants. She hasn't got the habit of answering the door herself. The night London fell, all Horatia's lodgers gathered at this hour. Horatia led the hymns while we waited for dawn. Around 3 in the afternoon, we admitted to ourselves that there wasn't going to be a dawn. Today, or any other day. We have a few provisions if you need food. It looks like it will be a long night. I can't stay, but thank you. It's kind of you to offer. Reese always likes the sight of the badge. I thought you might still be in the house. Mr. Pages is not an early riser. In fact, he was very put out when I came to the ministry in the morning. The badge makes it clear that I'm here for business, not for conversation. I thought I might finish your census form. Mr. Pages already knows all about me. I would have thought it was a better use of time to ask anyone else. But I suppose for completeness, we might as well. You know the census asks about matters of the heart. It's the only one I can't answer on my own. I was engaged once. A gentleman wanted a gracious hostess, and a mother to his heirs. A very eligible alliance, according to my parents. Why did you accept the proposal in the first place, then? I could have set him on a path to life. She looks as though she might say more, but she thinks better of it. The conversation turns to personal matters, and the things we still don't know about one another. If you could be rid of one danger from all the dangers that Neath holds, which would you strike at? I don't dare make a wish like that. Whenever one trouble is removed, another one is bound to crop up. Unfortunately, cogent point. Do you suppose the fall was caused by someone who dislikes sundown? My business is done. Goodbye for the moment. I can just manage another errand before supper. The badge will eliminate any expectation of a social visit, at any rate. Are you here to see me, then? I don't receive visitors, as a rule. Perhaps they will take official notice. It's not as if I entertain much. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. BB shows no enthusiasm for the ministry. What should I put down about your romantic attachments for the census, that is? I'm not married. It's not easy when you're in service. The household might not like you having gentlemen callers. There's a brief lull in the conversation. I wish Phoebe a good afternoon. I should take myself off. By now, Horatio will be wondering where I am. This morning, I was in the basement, checking our supplies. Is there much down there that's not mine, then? I'm saving a jar of pickle for Christmas. Something to give us a taste of old times. But I found a couple of rats down there, reading the labels. Standing foolishly, perhaps. They were sounding out the words. Right you are, then, I believe you. I don't know what to make of that. Archie lets us sink in. I don't like to think what permitted creatures might be planning. From now on, I don't want anyone but me going down to the basement. There's a heap of medicine down there, some of them not finished cooking yet. If you tell me what you want brought up, dear, I'll fetch it for you sometime. But it's not safe scouting alone. You've seen all the bottles. It'd take you a week to bring them up, and they're at a delicate stage to boot. Would not want to be shaking up the sediment. I'll bring up your things in cotton wool and a bassinet if that's what needed, Archie. But I'm not having anyone else walk down there. I'm not losing you to that. It's a small thing, crumbs here, a spill there. It'll only take a few extra minutes to clear away, but it is a signal. No, it's high enough for you, Bolt. to Archie before bed. Archie finds me upstairs after dinner. I cannot stop thinking on the Ministry of Cartography. There's something not right there. Let me show you what I'm thinking of. Those that make the laws are usually the most suspicious. I have something there, at least in this case. It's a way of sorting out my thoughts. When I started, it was to think through a treatment. But it's good for all sorts. Stories, schemes, things that might be true, or things that don't have to be. While he's talking, he's getting out some bits of paper, written over in his own handwriting. Okay, I already know how to do this, so we'll skip it. A friend below that can take what we've done and put it about in the papers. Told him I knew someone that might be able to bring back a few secrets of the Ministry. You've got the way of it. Questions to ask anyone who will reply. Answers to bring to me. If you don't mind giving them the pages, I'll give them stories about the people that live below, and you can go on. But if you'd rather another way to make a new bread, you might investigate while you're there. Ask him questions. Ask other people questions about him. Find out a thing or two. If you make up the questions you want to ask, you can investigate with anyone who might answer. Earn your pennies helping the citizens rather than those creatures in their blankets. Bring Archie theories about the Ministry. I'm with you. The truth matters more than the Ministry's convenience. I'm glad you say so. It's no easy thing fighting the doubts on my own. With Horatio telling me I have the fidgets, and Grease saying I should be quiet and trust our road Baron says, I should let you get your sleep. Craft a story about what is really going on. Tell Archie I have something to show. Give 5 pennies to Horatio. Phoebe is not walking out with anyone. Reese was engaged but broke it off. Free Fall. David, Rachel, wrote a novel. Phoebe, Carringham's. Fought over Milton, fought over Rachel, Milton, the Bazaar, Neath changed. Advertised lodges. Day 262. 11 days remain in Confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. This morning slides open on the table. Orgiastic parties of legendary victimless threaten the reputation of ordinary citizens. Not sure who that is. Okay, Mr. Pages, knowing that the Neath changed, took unknown actions. Pages, undecided. Repeat likes to see me wearing a gift. You might take that as encouragement. You're looking well. you seen any devils? By that, you mean the people with yellow eyes? Yes. They've taken over a townhouse. That way. He points out a direction. You can see them coming and going sometimes, and the occasional vicar standing outside to stare in. Ajit shows me the way as he did before. At certain points, he makes me look up at the stalactites above, and fix the relationship in my mind. They sparkle with something other than stars. Don't treat the stars like constellations. They do not stand still. Devil's Townhouse. They say this place is inhabited by devils. Alternatively, people with yellow eyes and a warm handshake. Archie takes a look at the devil's doorstep and raises his eyebrows. It's plain he has no taste for this company, so I say goodbye and go on alone. Their door knocker is made of brass, unreasonably warm brass, and is shaped like the head of a goat. The attendant is human enough, but she refuses to answer any questions. I wait in a very old-fashioned wooden chair. I keep feeling that the armrests are nipping at my wrists. I am invited inside at last. A member of the constabulary, we do not require your assistance. Milton will see you out. Your eye for the tale has failed you, Virginia. Our visitor wears the badge of the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I collect this as some sort of official errand. I go by Pandita. I go by Milton. I dislike full names. You have me addressed as Virginia, or ma'am. They both fall extremely still. I'm not sure that they breathe. You know that the Ministry has sent me to work on the census. Their work is vital for London. You may have mistaken your authority. The masters do not direct us. It will not take long. We are in the middle of a delicate matter. Come now, Virginia. Wouldn't you find it entertaining to learn what the masters are asking? I had some significant curiosity. Just what does the Ministry have to learn about you and me that it doesn't already know? And ask and be prompt, Pandita. And if this proves a waste of our time, Milton, you will owe me your good hunting horn. There are only a few questions, so don't worry. How many unfortunates are trapped in your household with you? I reside alone. You have servants. I do, several. I had assumed that they would not be counted as persons. You must trust me on this sort of thing, Virginia. I have had more time to learn London's customs. And you frequently entertain overnight visitors. Never for very long. I have a maidservant, a housekeeper, and 3 drones. Footmen. Yes, footmen. You look too wise to give your heart carelessly, but have you given it at all? Is there no one waiting for you or betrothed to you? Ah, an interesting question. Several persons have believed themselves to be romantically attached to me. Will that do? You're not engaged to any of them? Of course not. And not married, that I can safely rule out. Definitely not married. I turn my senseless curiosity on Virginia. Virginia is a fine name, fashionable. One tries to accommodate the local culture. That is, one tries until it becomes too much bother. Often implies that the name does not distinguish you from the common or garden variety of Virginia. Might benefit from a poetic thought. Amber-eyed Virginia, for instance. London poets have a taste for that kind of thing. Brass-shawled Virginia. You must ensure that it stands. Do not write that down. Virginia of the Cloven Hoof. Definitely not. Pity. I don't allow Milton to distract me from my remaining questions. I also have to ask about your lovers or spouses, Fanny. The topic seems more than usually terrifying. I have no romantic involvements that you need report to your employers. No one speaks for a moment. What is the nature of your work here? I am a gentleman of leisure, though I have devoted myself to cultivation of the arts. Until our next meeting, citizen, your transparency makes an interesting diversion. Judging by the clock, I can afford another errand today. Virginia. I reach for another memory out of that jumbled grab bag. There are things I sometimes remember from that night that cannot have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. Archie and Archie had a conversation about something. I think I remember Archie talking to Harjeet. I'm not sure whether it was right when Harjeet arrived, though. Might have been later. Something about laudanum dosages. What to do if Harjeet found someone who was on the verge of dying, in a lot of pain. That memory is hazy, as if I had heard it from another room, or was half asleep at the time. Couldn't swear to it. There was something else, too, that I haven't thought of until now. Just the flicker of an exchange. How old would your wife be then? Only the size and gender change the dose. Ah. You don't recall? No, I haven't forgotten anything. I'm a doctor and Neath. There's no need to be shy. And Pandita is sleeping by the look of it. But, the person in question is a gentleman. In his 30s, a military man, near my own height. Oh, not your wife, then. It's a comfort to you. I may venture to that persuasion stuff. The nail recent months. They went away then. Archie showing her sheet how to measure various medicines for a large military gentleman. Oh, hello. Looks like we've got a viewer now. You're looking well. How do you get to Oxford Market? This path is more than usually complicated. Several times we stop and retrace our steps. We cannot omit this part of the procedure. Going backwards is part of the route. Hogs Lane Market. Likely just a corruption of Hogs Lane, but I keep my pet pig on a leash all the same. Hurry up, then. The market will do close. Exceptionally of-the-mode piece trimmed with mushrooms as style currently demands. I'll give you 2 pennies for that stylish top hat with mushrooms. A fair price. Mushroom top hat. Grand and exotically trimmed. It's the sort of thing to wear when I want to get to know someone better. You don't do any jobs that would be obvious. Here's the thing about walking in houses of fine ladies. Leave the letters lying about and tell themselves you can't read. Gossip about their pets and fancy that you're deaf. Well, I'm rude and just as generous and charitable spirit of that. First time you forget to baptize a brain, no harm. Shut my minces and keep my ounces clapped. But again, your secrets are mine and my secrets are my living. Good thing. The owner of a secret doesn't know when it's been stolen. As you can see, better to be able to take an opportunity when it's offered than to make a plan. Plans break. Ah, but stop a roam for me. You come back round, ask for Ivy. About most days in market hours. It's getting late, so I'm heading back home. Thought I smelled a stew. The pot's on the table, Pandita. Sit where you like. What's in it? If you judge just by the flavor, it'll be a chewy type of fish. Makes a change from mushrooms. That goes for you too, Miss Griselda. There's a stew ready if you're hungry. Where did it come from? Someone I treated for a gripe that couldn't have paid pennies. He said he'd caught this, but he thought it was likely to go off if it wasn't eaten soon. The master's warned me against eating things from the river. I'm not sure it was the river he caught it from. Why? What did he tell you? He didn't tell me anything. If he has a good spot to fish, most likely it means to keep it quiet. Wouldn't want to share, would he? That might be it. He had the meat in a big bag, a very big bag, and stained dark. I made him swear it wasn't human before I'd take it. To judge by the fishy smell, it wasn't. For a moment no one speaks. I chew diligently. We finish eating. Okay, we are now acquainted with Milton. Census filler. I have extracted what Mr. Pages wanted to know, more or less. Patron of the arts. Has his own bachelor establishment, and a range of temporary companions. Virginia. Occupation unknown. Keeps a selection of servants, but no companions. Might be heartbroken if she had a heart. Ivy. Dressmaker and dealer in disreputable secrets. Household and romantic interests unknown. I am opportunistic and not always too concerned about the social contract. Day 263. 10 days remain in confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. The headlines today read, Beware ailments caused by lack of sunlight. Cholera, scurvy, female distemper. So, cholera, an ailment caused by infection, which this is about the time to have discovered. Scurvy, a vitamin deficiency, but not one related to sunlight. Female distemper, a variety of things, most of them not caused by lack of sunlight. I reached for another memory out of that jumbled grab bag. There are things I sometimes remember from the night that cannot have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. I saw something in a corner of the basement. I remember waking up in the night and seeing that there was a new rat hole in the basement wall. As I lay there gazing at it, there came something slick and writhing from the metal. It felt about the floor of the basement and wrapped itself around a lump of coal, finding nothing else handy. But that displeased it, it seems, because it dropped the lump again and withdrew. When I summoned the courage to look into the hole, I saw nothing, and I could not be sure that I saw it truly. Okay, let's change. Looking at a guide. The next person we're seeing is someone I want to make friends with. The garish hat distracts from the loud corsage. Or is it the other way around? You're looking well. I remembered something strange from the night of the fall, you whispering about how to dose drugs for a grown man. You thought I was asleep. I don't remember that. There's nothing amiss at Mrs. Chapman's, is there? Nothing has happened to Archibald? Archie's family is in Scotland. Everyone says that only London fell below, but Archie is afraid that something happened to them, too. Which is actually distinctly possible. If I remember correctly, Balmoral fell as well. If I may ask, do you have feelings for Archie? You've warned me not to burden you with too much confidence. Archie shakes his head as though to clear away some thought. So many families passed in the fall, so many others vanished afterwards. Perhaps they've all packed their things and gone to some other part of the city. Perhaps something more terrible has happened. Do you know how to get to St. Albans? It's the parish church, not too far from here. But since the fall, it's been easy to get turned around. Maps, after all, are treacherous. Yes, I can show you. The walk is easier this time than some of our previous lessons. First, I think I am becoming better at route finding. Then Harjeet mentions that the streets are becoming easier. The street signs change less frequently now. St. Alban's proto-martyr. St. Alban was the first English martyr, a point of considerable pride to the local vicar. It's the church of our parish. Pined for the surface. St. Alban's proto-martyr. This is the closest church to Horatia's. You're a bit early for evensong. I was just preparing my sermon. But if you're here in need of guidance... Good to meet a man of the cloth. You've kept this place a sanctuary, I see. As much as that's possible now. Candida. The offer is with a neck. It is a Yorkshire name. I don't have my guide with me, but I'm collecting census information for the Ministry of Accounting and Recounting. I say, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. What's that? I am wondering about the purpose of this census and whose aims it is meant to serve. I suppose the parish provides you with housing, or do you have to board out? I live alone in the rooms provided by the vicar of this parish. There's a woman who comes twice a week to clean, or there was. Her visits have become more erratic of late. She stole several spoons and a chafing dish from me, and my second best jostle. Who knows what she thought to do with it? When I did not turn her off for dishonesty, she lost all respect for me. In retrospect, it was an error. I thought to show mercy. Now I sleep on damp sheets. There's no danger in these questions. Are you unmarried and unencumbered? Your secret mistresses? I was married. The lady was 2 or 3 years older than myself. A very sensible and capable woman. Her name was Anne. I am sorry. Perhaps it is a recent loss. Not recent, but a loss all the same. On the other hand, it is a comfort to remember her. Narnia knew her. Narnia speaks about her. Something's landed on the roof. It sees us. Bat. It's larger than any bat I've seen. Larger than an eagle, come to that. Go on, let him. Landed there a few times before, especially when the choir is practicing. I hold my breath, make no sound. The awful isn't barely breathing either. The thing up there is gone. The awfulist says nothing. He is still listening for the thing on the ceiling. Is it all bickering, or you earn a bit on the side? From time to time, I considered offering myself as a tutor to some enterprising pupils. My Greek and Latin grew rusty, but I never put the plan into practice. Now, as we say, the education of the young is no longer a primary concern in the best houses. It was good of you to stop in. Lord see you safely home again. There's time to run another errand today. Theophilus, feared predators, fought a flying creature. Badge will eliminate any expectation of a social visit at any rate. Hello there! Since the fall, we have all taken to greeting one another as invalids on the verge of death. It's superb. I wish the rest of London had tasted as yours. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting have asked me to work on the census. I say, what's your full name? I think that's Cloud, so I passed my joke with my mum. I'm sure the Fitzclarences would be flattered by the association. The bastard descendants of the Duke of Clarence are still to be found around London, long after their sire went to his grave. A moment ago it said someone forgot to make me count as a monster, but she was sure it was an oversight. My mum reckoned when I got old enough I'd lie and suit me. So long as you live with me, you'll be known for a top slaughter and no point hiding it. Is your mum still about somewhere? Well, she fed the rest of us. She said she'd a better time of it than most, and that she was already a fallen morning. Are you going to change your name someday? Oh yes, but not until I have enough saved to move my shop to Ladybone. Mademoiselle Leah de Bordeaux, I'm planning to call myself. All the fashions of Paris, but darker and more marvelous. Her voice shifts up market suddenly, her pronunciation almost as proper as Grace's. I can't stand it, but I didn't learn my manners at a finishing school. I worked in the the back room of the dressing shop until I was good enough to put in front. I found my way into genteel parlours and didn't let myself be kicked out of them again. Not 1 in 20 of the ladies I dressed could do what I've done. How many people live in your establishmentation? Ivy lets out a surprised laugh. Well, I live back at my mum's place when I'm not looking in. She's good company and she's got a glass of wine and she gets to stay up late. Are you enamorificated or impassionated? Ivy lets out a startled laugh. In love. There's been a warm encounters, not the least virgin, am I? I don't want child or man, so nothing. One thing about being raised by an old slip of wool, she taught me how to keep unencumbered. There was a brief lull in the conversation. All of Ivy's secrets belonged originally to someone else. Some confessions told her by Neath daughters could no longer endure the burden. Some were shameful memories from harassing dreams, or the acknowledgement of a past crime. She doesn't tell me the substance of what she knows, but she gives me an inventory by type and style and length. The shopkeeper could be prouder about her wares, or more precise about their origin and quality. You're not bad company now that I'm gonna say. I'd to talk to you again if you want to come back. Often there's customers, but sometimes there aren't. It won't be possible. As you like, just pass in the box anyhow. It's time to go home. Yeah, Archie, what are you always warning us about lack of nutrition? Oh, sorry, Aisha. Cooked as well as anyone could do. No need to tell me that. What are you brooding on, then? I was thinking on my mother. If she thinks I was killed, it'll be terrible for her art. Someone else is probably on the surface, worried sick about their mother in London. Someone that maybe you're helping here. Thank you, you're too kind. So I get out of the hole in the ground at last, and all the way back up to Glasgow, and to find she's passed her grief before I got there. Positively Greek. I've told you before, she has pleased to help you. Ask me for what? I've told you before, I can't set off the masters. I can't be doing little favours here and there and everywhere. You know how many people live in London? No, my duck, I don't. Nor do you either, or we wouldn't need the census. My mother begged me not to come all the way to London. She said I could stay just in Glasgow. Or if I had to go away, no further than Edinburgh. There's plenty of physicians there training. It was me that chose to put the distance. Oh no, oh dear, that's much too bad. Very much too bad. No one speaks for a moment. I chew diligently. There are no more mushrooms on my plate. Day 264. 9 days remain in confessions. Another morning, another newspaper. This morning was lies open on the table. Parliament buildings visible in river. All parliamentarians feared drowned. I'm not too occupied otherwise. I can always ask my friends and acquaintances whether there's anything they need from me. They may have some additional tasks for me. another memory out of that jumbled grab bag. There are things I sometimes remember from that night that could not have happened. Impossible things. If I concentrate, I can recall. I glimpsed something in a bit of mirror. In a mirror, I saw something that wasn't my reflection. A woman who might have been Chinese, though I could not be sure. She sat at a desk at a flooding palace, and the milky water had come level with her knee. She wrote in haste. Her hands were gory with ink stained and dimmed the firebirds embroidered on her sleeve. A glimpse of me goaded her. The ink bottle upset. Blue back bloomed in the floodwater. Okay, no new locations yet. Horatio won't mind me in this. I am indebted to Horatio. Since the fall, I haven't always had the funds to pay for my room and board. She provided for me anyway. If there's anything to eat, I'm always welcome to join the other lodgers. She's never said a word in front of the other guests. Hello, I trust you're keeping healthy. The Ministry of Accounting and Recounting asked me to work on the census. I see. Did you have many suitors when you were younger? The butcher at the corner asked me a few times to be his wife. I couldn't say I was tempted. He had 7 children from his marriage before. I believe he was more attracted to the extra rooms in my house than to me. There's a woman who comes to the door just about every morning. Too many children and not enough food. Sometimes I have a penny or some stew for her. Barrett might take an apprentice. They might even pay in rat meat. I could suggest it. Your child could start at the work. Poor was. Here, it's not a great deal, but for tomorrow. Retrieve the pennies from my pocket and pass them over. Thank you. I'll say you sent them for her. Give her my best. I will. You don't have any secret business besides running the household, do you? The house has been my business for a long time now. My father left it to me. He bought it out of a good place to live. He didn't want to leave it up to whether I'd find a husband. I'd best be off. The drawing won't get itself in. That leaves time for another errand today. No censuses left. Let's discuss some ministry misbehavior. Virginia claims to have no interest in the rules of London society, but she will still likely take offense if I turn up shallow and dressed. Okay, let's not then. a little intimidating like this. Usually a good idea to dress down like this for ferrets. The constable take one look at the jacket and think of escape from prison. The hat says I'm wearing the wares of a highly superior millionaire. You come and take some rat bodies and clean out. Also, we'll take a cut and I've got to eat. If you come back another time, I might have some then. They're the one thing, or an out one, yeah. You look dazzling today. It looks too distrusting for friendly gestures. If you're not looking for a dignified occasion, maybe in the market for a cage. Got all sizes, I can do something for birds, bats, crickets. Do you sell many cricket cages? One I did before the bar, crickets can be eaten, apparently. Oh, got some customers that grind them into flour. But you gotta farm the things first, which is where the cage comes in. To find where I'm at to keep them from popping out all over the place. Where I don't want to weigh. Ferret gives me a distrusting look. Don't suppose you'd fill me in on your noble origin? Describe where I came from. The rather upper tree criminals were my distant forebears, and the less elevated recent kin. I met the more frightening and violent aspects of the tale. Starting to see a hidden side, my friend. One or two skills a person might not get the first time we meet you. Seems like a past and past. We were destined to meet. London and fun, we met on the surface instead. Sure, it had to be. Ferret gives me a distrusting look. I prepare a little awkwardly to remove myself. I better get on about my business. I shake my head to clear it. The ruminations are gone. All is as it was. At this point, I go back to Horatio's. Please brought on some extra supplies today. I was able to do something that almost resembled cooking. Your suppers are always delicious. You're very welcome. Flattery should be persuasive. They're always as delicious as possible in the circumstances. Exactly. But we have better circumstances today. I chew diligently. Dinner reaches an end. Day 265. 8 days remain in confessions. And I believe, another morning, another newspaper. Archie bought one, and the headlines read, Masters will exchange warm winter clothing for disused street signs. If I'm not too occupied otherwise, I can always ask my friends and acquaintances whether there's anything they need from me. They may have some additional tasks for me. And I believe I will call it early for tonight. Thank you for watching. The game has been Mask of the Rose, and I have been James. If you would like to watch me play some more, please follow me